Right now, at this very moment, you are the last surviving human species on Earth. You, Homo sapiens, are it. But for most of our history, we shared this planet with at least 5, possibly 9 other species of humans. All of them walked upright. All of them made tools. Some of them buried their dead, created art, cared for the sick. And every single one of them is now gone forever. So what happened? How did an entire planet full of human species get reduced to just one? The answer to that question might be the most uncomfortable truth about who we really are. To understand what we lost, you have to go back about 300,000 years. Picture the Earth at that moment. In Africa, the earliest Homo sapiens are just beginning to emerge. The oldest known fossils come from Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, dated to roughly 300,000 years ago by Jean-Jacques Hublin and his team in 2017. But we are far from alone. Across Europe and Western Asia, Neanderthals have already been thriving for over 100,000 years. In the vast expanses of Eastern Asia, the mysterious Denisovans occupy territories we are only beginning to understand. Homo erectus, one of the most successful human species ever, still roams parts of Southeast Asia after nearly 2 million years of existence. On the remote Indonesian island of Flores, a remarkable species stands barely 1 meter tall. Homo floresiensis, the so-called Hobbits, shaped by thousands of years of island dwarfism. In the deep cave systems of South Africa, Homo naledi navigates pitch-black chambers to bury their dead in ways that suggest a rich symbolic life. And in the Philippines, Homo luzonensis, not even formally described until Florent Detroit and colleagues published their findings in Nature in 2019, adds yet another branch to an already staggering family tree. This was normal. For 7 million years of hominin evolution, multiple human species coexisting on Earth was the rule, not the exception. What we have now, just one species, alone, that is the anomaly.
Let's start with the ones we know best. Neanderthals are perhaps the most misunderstood species in human history. For over a century, they were depicted as hunched, dim-witted brutes, the quintessential cavemen. That image is a lie. Neanderthals had brains that were on average larger than ours. Archaeological sites like Shanidar Cave in Iraq, excavated by Ralph Selecki in the 1950s and 1960s, revealed Neanderthal burials surrounded by clusters of flower pollen, suggesting they laid their dead to rest with offerings. At sites in Spain, researchers found pigment-stained shells and geometric cave markings dating back over 65,000 years. Tens of thousands of years before Homo sapiens even arrived in Europe. They used medicinal plants. They crafted sophisticated tools. They survived ice ages that would have annihilated us. And here is the part that should give you pause. Neanderthals existed for roughly 400,000 years. We have been around for 300,000. They outlasted us, so far, by a significant margin. And yet they vanished approximately 40,000 years ago. Then there are the Denisovans, and their story is almost stranger than fiction. In 2010, a tiny fragment of a finger bone was recovered from Denisova Cave in the Altai Mountains of Siberia. It looked unremarkable, but when Svante Pääbo and his team at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology sequenced its mitochondrial DNA, the results were staggering. This bone did not belong to a Neanderthal or a modern human. It belonged to an entirely unknown species of hominin, an entire branch of the human family, discovered not through skulls or skeletons, but through genetics alone. We still have almost no idea what they looked like, but we know something remarkable about their legacy. Modern Tibetans carry a gene variant called EPAS1, inherited from Denisova ancestors, that allows them to thrive at high altitudes where oxygen is dangerously thin. A ghost species, reaching forward through time to shape living people. And then there were the Hobbits. When Peter Brown and Mike Morwood announced the discovery of Homo floresiensis in Nature in 2004, the scientific world erupted. A human species standing just 1 meter tall, with a brain the size of a chimpanzee's, yet capable of making stone tools and hunting dwarf elephants called stegodon. They survived on the island of Flores until roughly 50,000 years ago, meaning they were still alive when modern humans were painting caves in Europe. Their small stature was likely the result of island dwarfism, the same evolutionary process that shrinks elephants and deer on isolated islands over generations.
So the question that haunts every paleoanthropologist is simple. Why are they all gone? The honest answer is that it was probably not one thing. It was everything, all at once. The late Pleistocene was a period of savage climate instability. Ice ages advanced and retreated unpredictably, destroying habitats that specialized species depended on. Neanderthals, superbly adapted to cold European forests, may have been pushed to the brink as those environments shrank. But climate alone does not explain the pattern, because every extinction seems to coincide with one specific event: the arrival of Homo sapiens. Wherever we went, other human species disappeared. We arrived in Europe around 45,000 years ago. Within 5,000 years, the Neanderthals were gone. We reached Southeast Asia, and Homo erectus vanished after nearly 2 million years of survival. We set foot on Flores, and the Hobbits disappeared. The correlation is devastating. Some researchers argue it was competition, that Homo sapiens, with larger social networks, more advanced projectile weapons, and perhaps more flexible diets, simply outcompeted other species for the same resources. Others suggest something darker: direct conflict, organized violence, even what some have called the first genocide in history. There is no conclusive archaeological proof of large-scale warfare between species, but the possibility lingers like smoke after a fire. And then there is the theory that complicates everything: interbreeding. Modern genetic analysis has revealed that all non-African humans carry between 1% and 4% Neanderthal DNA. Melanesian populations carry up to 6% Denisovan DNA. We did not just replace them, we absorbed them. They live on, fragmented, diluted, but present in our very cells. Perhaps that is the strangest part of the story. For the first time in 7 million years, there was only one human species walking the earth. We are it. And the loneliness of that fact is something we rarely stop to consider. Every other branch of our family tree has been severed. Every cousin, every sibling species, gone. Some were taken by the climate. Some were outcompeted. Some may have been killed. And some were folded into us, their genes carried forward by the very species that may have driven them to extinction. They are not entirely gone. Every time a European inherits a particular immune gene, every time a Tibetan breathes easily at 5,000 meters, the dead are speaking through the living.
And perhaps this is what makes the story so unsettling. We like to think of extinction as something that happens to species, something passive, inevitable, natural. But the evidence increasingly suggests that Homo sapiens were not bystanders. We were the event. The same capacity for cooperation, innovation, and expansion that made us the most successful species on Earth may also have made us the most destructive. If you watched our last video on the first war in human history, you already know that organized violence runs deep in our lineage, deeper than civilization, deeper than agriculture, possibly deeper than our species itself. The extinction of our closest relatives may not be a separate story from our violent past. It may be the first chapter.